love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You Podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Expert in You Podcast. I'm your host, Carden, and I am very excited for my guest today, Maggie Perotin. I hope I pronounced that right. Maggie has an incredible story that she's going to share with you. And then she's also going to talk to you about what she's done in her business to be successful, who she helps, and all of the things around the structure of her business. So Maggie, welcome to my show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, I am excited to have you. And one of the reasons I was very excited to have you on this podcast is you come with really quite a background and quite a story. So I'm going to let you just kind of talk about that just a little bit, and then really what brought you into doing what you're doing right now. So sort of that journey. So
okay,
take it away.
Okay. So, I'm originally Polish. I was born and raised in Poland, probably like last generation who even remembers how it is to live under the communist regime. But I was 11 when it collapsed. And as I graduated from university in Poland, there was a very high unemployment at that time. And I was like, speaking English and French and highly educated, working hard and making like $300 a month, right? And my sort of dream always was to have a house and travel and meet people and so on. And I just couldn't see how was that possible. And I had a job, like there was 20% of people at that time that didn't even have a job. I was in a big city, again, educated. So I had a job, but that was kind of like, like I can't wait my whole life, right, to live. So then an opportunity came for me to immigrate to Canada. It was just a coincidence. I talked to a friend who told me about Canadian immigration program, and I was like, why not? So I applied, and Canadian immigration program, it's a little bit different than in US. It's kind of like a point system, and when you meet certain requirements, within a year and a half to 3 years, you can get permanent residency. And that's what happened in my case. I got a permanent residency. And, when you're young, you don't have any ties. You're like, why not? Let's try. So the first flight I ever took in my life was actually moving to Canada. I've never flew a plane before. I've never been to North America. But again, you're young, you're full of hope and belief. Let's go.
How long ago was that, Maggie?
That was in 2005.
Okay.
So how many years ago? Many.
So what a bold move. That's a bold move. How old were you at the time?
I was 27, I think, 26 Wonderful. Or 27. Yeah.
Okay. So that tells you something right there, that she's gutsy and she's courageous and brave. So go ahead, keep talking.
So when I landed, I was looking for a job, and it's a new country. Mm-hmm. Everything is different. Everything is bigger. You don't even know the name of the stores because that's not the stores that you're used to. You don't know people. I had some people that I knew, but very little, but they allowed me to kind of anchor myself in Canada. So your confidence get depleted a little bit, right? They're like, I don't know where to move. Everything is so big and so on. But I got lucky. I spoke English and French coming in, and I landed a job in a facility management company, in a corporation. Federally, speaking two languages helps. And so I started working as like a customer service representative. for a facility management company, taking a whole bunch of calls about toilets overflowing and lights being out and cars driving into buildings and all that. And that really allowed me to set my foot, get to really up level my English and French, and sort of start growing my career. And I ended up liking the industry just because there was always something going on. It was never, never a dull moment. And I grew in that industry for, till really at the end of last year. Very quickly, I became a people leader. And from there, did some project management, even construction project management, hiring, coaching, developing people, a little bit of business development, business intelligence, analytics, even big systems implementations, training, you name it, I've done it. And how I became a coach is ultimately, I've been a coach for 13 years. When you grow and develop people, when you truly lead, you coach, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way to help people grow in their careers, get to their full potential. And I sort of discovered the passion for it throughout my career. And even like when I had a couple of positions where I didn't have anybody reporting to me, I didn't like them. I always quickly came back to positions that I could lead people, coach people, and so on. Mm-hmm. When I decided to move to my own business, it's, through a burnt out. Sometimes I feel like who hasn't gone through a burnt out in the corporate career? But it was a situational moment where, we were giving a task really that sets you up for fail, where no matter what you do, no matter how much you work, you're just not ready to do that. And I found myself, working nonstop for a few months straight, like weekends, non-weekends, long hours. My family was very young at that time. And at some point I was exhausted and nobody cared, which was important to me. Nobody came to say, hey, Maggie, how are you? How is it going? Do you need any help? You know what I mean? And it wasn't just me, but I'm talking from my perspective.
The culture, definitely.
Right? Like, it's just, I'm like, why am I killing myself? In a way, compromising my personal well-being and not spending the family time that I want to spend as a young mom or as a mom of young kids, and nobody cares. And that kind of felt me trapped. And also because there wasn't a light in the tunnel for some time. And I don't mind working hard when I see that it's producing the results, as opposed to I'm working hard and I'm being beaten up for it because it's not producing the results. So I felt trapped, and that kind of freaked me out.
Yes.
So I started thinking, like, what do I want to do, right? Do I want to continue or not? And that's where my own business idea came up, where I said, okay, I'm ready to be my own boss, make my own decisions, live the consequences of those decisions. And, coaching was sort of a natural extension, just because I did want to spend more time coaching and developing people. And I found myself that the more I grew in that corporate career, the less time I actually had to do that, the more of different directions I was being pushed towards, or like not pushed, you can always say no. I believe that we have always a choice, but let's say
to a degree. I think when you do work for someone else, there are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so I was going, yeah, exactly. So I was going more in a direction that maybe I was good at, but not passionate about, that was draining me, not filling me up. So coaching, and then business coaching, because I do love business. I do have experience, a lot of experience in business. I have, education in business as well. The latest one I was doing like an executive MBA as well. And it's and that's what led me to, starting my practice.
I love it. You said a lot of things in there that I think are really important for people to know. And they're also things that I teach and that I talk about. And that is, you really took the skill set that you had developed in your career and you turned those assets, I like to call them career assets, you turned those assets into something that you could do as an entrepreneur. And you also took what you felt very natural at doing, which was coaching, and you brought that into your business as well. And this is the type of business that I want. And I think that's a really important thing for people to understand. It's really interesting. I just actually put up a post this morning about the sequence of mastery. And I said, first it's learn, then it's do, then it's teach. And I believe that is the ultimate to mastery and to really developing your expertise, beyond you being able to do the thing. So I love how you took those skills, all of that experience and that knowledge, and even your MBA and all of that, and you brought that into your entrepreneurship and into your business. So let's talk about how did you, because I know what I did when I first came into the coaching space, I was winging it, and I was just out there sort of consulting people in business and helping them with whatever they needed. There was no process. There was because I had a lot of experience and skills, I just helped them with whatever they needed. And so there was no real structure or process to my business until I was told I needed to have that. And that was, that changed everything. But I would love to know, how did you kind of come up with what you're selling now? First of all, tell everyone what you do and, what your coaching program is and who you help. And then also, how did you kind of develop your coaching process and your system and what you're going to sell? Because ultimately you're creating a product that you're going to sell.
Yeah. So what I do, I help service-based entrepreneurs grow their businesses. So, my clients are anyone from a photographer, a therapist, a bookkeeper, to more online businesses like VA, social media managers, or agencies, those types of service-based really businesses. So I started, right now the offers that I have, and it was definitely a progression, just like you, Anne. I started just 101, helping anybody with anything.
Right.
Just when you have a skill, you kind of also, you know that you can help people. I think the only one that I knew was I do want to help more service-based. I guess that's where my expertise also lies from the corporate world. I was in a service-based business. And also I wanted online. Like, I didn't necessarily want to deliver services in person. So that was my guidance in the beginning. And the offers that I have right now, I have a small group coaching program for entrepreneurs who are just starting, or maybe have like a side hustle where they're running at part-time and they want to move toward full-time, make their first, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year of income. So I have a small group coaching program, and then entrepreneurs who are more established and are making already that 50, 60, and now they're trying to scale to 6 figures and beyond. And I have one-on-one coaching, and I work in 6 months increments for that offer. And how I developed my process and so on, it was, of course, with my experience in education, I knew what it needed to be, right? To some basic foundations of how the business grows and the development of the business. So that definitely helped me. But creating sort of my own intellectual property and my own process that it's different than others, right? How I can stand out. It took time to figure out, and it took practice, as you say, right? Learn, then do it. And then in a way, as you say, master it.
Teach it.
So through coaching clients one-on-one and doing different reiteration, even of the group coaching, starting with an idea, putting it out there, seeing what's working, what's not, how I can make it better for my clients, where they can get, better results. I sort of came to my 2 offers right now. Right.
Okay.
And as they evolve, I'm sure they will change at some point, or they will maybe not completely change, but evolved and so on. That's sort of how it went.
Okay. Now, who do you so you said service entrepreneurs, but Who can you give some examples of some of the clients that you've worked with and some of the clients that you have? I'm sure that would be important for some of our people to hear.
So therapists,
Okay.
like, different, but therapists, bookkeepers, so accountants, photographers, social media managers, virtual assistants. I even had an author. So I had a couple of artists, authors. I'm trying to get it back in my memory, but those are the current group of clients.
I think you did say maybe VAs on here as well.
VAs,
okay.
Virtual assistants.
So do you have a process that you take them through?
Yes.
That's very specific. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So I have a process, and I will just 3 steps. And of course, each step goes deeper into, but the 3 steps is, first, we sort of establish a business foundation that's aligned with my clients. And that's where it comes through when we create values that are really come from who they are and how they want to show up in their business, but also values that are not just personal, but really connect with how they want to run their business and how they want to show up for the clients, how their clients will have an experience, right? And then mission and visions, and looking what's unique about them, because you want to stand out, right? You want to stay competitive, and how you're going to do it when you're a solopreneur, where a lot of it has to do with you. Right. And maybe it's your story, maybe it's your passion, maybe it's a combination, your perspective on how you deliver the service or whatever. Right. So that's one. So create a strong foundation, because I believe when you have that, you're more confident into decisions you make in your business. You're more standing behind it and avoid a lot of FOMO, right? Like shiny object syndrome, fear of missing out. Because when you base your decisions on what others do or comparing yourself to each other, you really don't believe those decisions, right? They're just very shallow decisions. And then you keep changing, you lose momentum, and then business doesn't grow, right? So when you base those decisions on who you are, you create that very strong footing, then it's easier to progress and get your business to mastery level. So the second part is looking at your customer journey from when your customer meets you, so through your marketing sales, to when they're becoming your customers, how you're delivering the service. And then maybe if your service is seasonal, how do you want to get them back, right? So for example, photographers, it can be seasonal, right? How do you want them back? And also for them to have such a great experience that they will want to refer you to others without you even asking them, right? Like when we love something, imagine when you love a movie or a book, like you just go out there and talk about it unsolicited to anybody who wants to listen to you, right? So that customer journey, the main sort of concept that I teach my clients is lead with value. So focus on your clients, not on you, right? How do you serve them? How do you create more value than what they pay for? And that will ensure that they will love you. They will come back and refer. So that's 2. And then step number 3 is really having a simple yet strategic plan that you actually go out there and implement consistently, because that's a challenge for many entrepreneurs or my clients, right? So here, I also have my clients a little bit with high performance habits. That's something that I've learned myself through my burnt out. When I burnt out in my corporate world, I was like, I have to do something. Yes, I cannot control the amount of work that's coming in, but I can control how I deal with it, the boundaries I set, how I plan my weeks, and so on. So I went through some high performance coaching that's just changed my life. And when I decided to coach my clients, I was like, I have to teach them that. Like, I cannot keep it to myself, right? It's such a powerful thing that I incorporate elements of that when we get to execution, when we get to doing it and being consistent and failing and assessing the failures and so on and so forth. So that's the process I walk my clients through.
Fantastic. So do you help them when you talk about the simple strategic plan? do you help them with marketing? Do you dive into marketing? Do you help them create a marketing system? Or is that something that they really have to kind of do on their own or discover on their own?
I help them create my marketing strategy. I call it intentional marketing strategy. So strategy that is aligned again with who they are and their clients. So I don't want my clients to do anything that they're not feeling comfortable, like, cold calling or things like that. Like, yes, if somebody believes in it, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but there's out of hundreds of marketing strategies that are out there. You don't need to do all 100. Right. You can just pick a few that you're good in about you want to learn, right? Because it doesn't mean that all my clients know, but they want to learn. They're willing to push themselves out of the comfort zone and learn, that also align with who their best client is, where the client is and so on. And we create that plan and then, simply, and then it's more about doing and learning and being consistent and so on. So I help them with that. Now, but I don't do marketing for them. Like, I don't offer done for you type of services, right?
Okay. So Maggie, when you started, did you work with a mentor or a coach? You did say you did some high performance coaching, but did you work with someone to help you really structure your business? Because that, for me, that was kind of a game changer when I finally hired someone to help me structure things in my business, although it's evolved immensely, but at that time. So did you do that as well?
Yes, I did. Like the high performance, I took it before I started my business. It I think it led me to that because that mentor had a business and he was talking about having a lot, right? Having a business. I was like, maybe that's the way, right? So it definitely seeded, but it was mostly really about good habits and so on. But when I started my business, I quickly realized, and sometimes, like maybe I think because we're business coaches, we think we are supposed to know it all and we're supposed to just do it on our own. But I realized that, we all have our blind spots. Yes. It's not like I'm a master of everything and I know everything the best, right? So having somebody guide you, show you where things that you don't see, and also learn from their expertise, right? Because they're, hopefully you choose a coach that's a little bit ahead of you. Doesn't need to be like light years ahead of you, but ahead of you who know. It just allows you to avoid a bunch of mistakes because you're going to fail a lot anyways. So why fail at it all where you can just strategically fail?
Maggie, you're not making this entrepreneurship thing sound very much fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. I actually think it's super fun. But I want to be realistic about it. Like I'm
just kidding
to my clients. It's like having kids. How much fun is it? How hard it is? Super hard.
One of the things that you said is a couple of things that I kind of want to touch on is you said it's so easy. It's so hard for us to do it for ourselves. And that's so true. One of the things that I help people do in their business is really uncover their true values so they can get paid the most money that they can per client and that type of thing. And it is very difficult for us to extract our own value and see that. And often we can do multiple things. You came from this, this multi-year career background where you did so many different things that you became really good at. So it's like, how do you decipher all of that? And how do you figure out, okay, what's going to be the best way to build my business? And what are the skill sets and the knowledge and the expertise that I want to bring into my business? And it is hard to do that for yourself. I struggled with that for a very long time and went through a few mentors actually before I finally really someone discovered or kind of helped me really figure that out. It was several mentors. It wasn't just one. I wish it would have just been one, but there were several people that I worked with before I finally had to take a step back and say, okay, I have to really discover this and figure this out. And so I love that.
Yeah. And it's the same with me. Like I have had a couple of mentors, coaches before my current one. And I think that with her, I'm going to stay for much, much longer. But it's also because I know exactly what I want by now, right? And I know that she will help me get there, right? So it's in the beginning when you're as you're saying, you're a little bit in that discovery stage. And when you don't know fully what you want, then the way you pick the mentors is, don't get me wrong, each of my mentors got me a little bit further and a little bit further. But at some point, that relationship, I was like, okay, I got what I needed out of that relationship. I'm ready for another stage, right? But I truly believe in the power of coaching, and I will have a coach as long as I have a business. Like, think about professional athletes. They don't get to the Olympic Games on their own. They always have mentors and coaches, because I don't think as humans we're able to push ourselves just on our own with our negative mind that keeps telling us we're not good enough to those levels that we can achieve when we have somebody helping us through, believing in us, and guiding us. So, especially in the early stages,
I think, I built a lot of businesses before I ever became a coach. And one of the things that I wish I would have known of coaches, that over 30 years I was building businesses, and I didn't know of coaches, and I didn't, there were books out there and there were training programs, but you had to order them and they had to be shipped to you. We didn't have Google. We didn't have all the things available today. And so I wish that I would have had what is available to people in business today, which is also why we see so much more success with entrepreneurs today than in the past, because they are moving at lightning speed. And that is due to the social media and technology and all of the things and being able to be global and all of the things that we have available to us today that have not always been part of the picture. And so I think that, but that being said, it can also be very overwhelming and confusing. And it isn't about information. The information's out there for anybody to do anything they want. It is about the implementation. And this is where people get stuck. They can't be focused. They can't understand their value because they do so many things. And then what's going to be the right thing? They chase shiny objects. I call it SOS, as in help. Because they are consistently chasing the next greatest thing instead of sticking to the plan and working the plan until it works. And I think that that's a really key thing for people to understand. And then if it doesn't get you where you want, then you shift, but you don't shift you don't blow with the wind, right?
Yes, agreed. In a way, you don't know how much effort or how long something will work until it works. And if you don't give it a chance to work, then you will never know, and it will never work.
Right. The old 3 feet from the gold, right?
That's right.
People stop 3 feet from the gold and shift. And I always say when I see coaches and consultants that are out there, you talk about six figures. I help people typically go to, 6 to 7 figures and beyond. One of the things that I say is that if you, though, have been in business for a lot of years and you still haven't hit 6 figures, there's a problem there. There's a reason that hasn't happened because, and this is just my perception, I think there's a difference in a business and a job. And under 6 figures, you still have a job, so to speak. It's very difficult to have the funds to have much of a business if you're not at that 6-figure level. And so I really kind of look at that as the starting point of, okay, now you have the opportunity to be a business. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. That's just
that's it. You know what? That's a great comparison. What I think about sometimes, you're right. Like for me, there is no reason why when you have your own business, you can't be multiple 6-figure and even 7-figure business. And if you're not progressing in that way, there's definitely something wrong, right? That you need to look at. But what I found when I think about it, sometimes people just their brain normalizes that that's the way it must be, right? So, okay, I'm getting to whatever, $60,000 a year, maybe even $100,000. And I'm seeing that I'm reaching my limit in terms of how much I'm working and so on. And therefore, I started thinking that, well, that must be, and I don't want to grow more because that means more work, and I don't want to work more and burn out, as opposed to there has to be a way for me to grow without giving more time, giving more energy. Let me figure out how it is. And yeah, it might mean investing in a coach and in yourself to grow the skills you need, right? So sometimes that's just like people just accept. And sometimes it also comes from because I'm networking with entrepreneurs who are in the same level as me. I'm not seeing what's possible.
I love what you're saying. Exposure and who you're around. It completely. I mean, it has everything to do with how high you're going to go, because if you stay, I can't tell you the coaches I see out there and the really experts I see out there who stay in the pool of people that don't grow them. They're all in the same place. And I think that's a comfort thing. And they're not willing to give that pool of people up. And that means you're going to probably stay there for a long time. So I love what you're saying, but a lot of it does come, it is mindset, but I also think it's exposure. If you aren't exposed to the possibilities and exposed to how you can get there. I have a client right now that she said, you know, she is now getting $40,000 clients, and she was selling something for $1,797. And she said, if you would have told me a year ago, but she said, I had no concept of how that would even happen. So until she was exposed to how she could do that, it wasn't even a thought. And so I think that's important, that people keep their mindset open, that there's more opportunity and there are bigger things that they could be doing. And there really are no limits. Do you agree with that?
Agreed. Like, that's why I started my business, because I realized there will be no limits to my earning potential as long as I'm committed and want to grow and go out there and do it, as opposed to in my corporate world, it took me like over 10 years to get to $100,000 in my salary, like 100, whatever, 10 years. And then because there's also policies and, you cannot be promoted more than once a year. And even with that, you can get more raise than 10% within that promotion. And also the promotion is decided not by you, but somebody's perception of you. And somebody's perception of your ability to deliver or not. Right? So I was like, another 10 years.
And all the red tape and all the politics and all the
politics. And, you know, and I was in an industry that it's male dominated, engineer based. I'm not male. I'm not an engineer. And I was like, I'm not waiting. Like, I know I can do more. I do believe that, you know, our world is like unlimited potential, especially with the internet and all the, you know, infrastructure, everything we have access to. That was like, that was one of the reasons too why I started my business. I agree with you.
One of the things we were talking about when we were talking about mindset is I always talk about, especially if I'm working with someone coming from corporate and they're starting a business and we're going to, you know, leverage their expertise. I always say, okay, you have to get out of an employee mindset. So I think that there are a couple things that people do when they first start. They think of it, there's a job mindset, and then there's an employee mindset. And then there's a business mindset. And they are three, the employee and the job are probably very closely related. They're about the same thing, but a business mindset means realizing there are no limits, and it's just a matter of learning how to build a business and how to get to the levels that you want. But coming out of that employee mindset, that can be tough for people. But I worked with small business owners and for many, many years, and getting them out of that job mindset. You know, I
call it like having a hobby business and actually having a professional business, right? And being a hobbyist and being a professional CEO of your business. And that's exactly like, I know we're talking about the same thing, but you're right. It's not necessarily easy to get out of it, but it's paramount to get out of it.
Well, I think you first have to have a desire. I think my first book, I wrote it so many years ago. I don't even remember, but I remember that. I mean, the very first chapter in that book is Mindset for Success, because when I really learned in all the years that I was building businesses, when I really learned that I had to make the decision to have success, that was very different than wanting to grow my business. That was very different than wanting to have, just be like, have my business not go under or be successful in my businesses. And having that mindset for success, to know that you can go to whatever level and you just have to you have to be willing to keep learning and growing. And I always say, keep investing to multiply your money. If you don't get that mindset, if you don't realize that it takes investments to get you to that next level and that next level and that next level, you will never get there. In most cases, most people will never get there.
Agreed. Like people, that's that employee mindset and job mindset versus business, because people, when we're employees or have a job, we earn money and then we spend it. Usually. Right. Like we might invest in a real estate or whatever, but usually it's spent, right? It's consumption. But you use it, that's it. Whereas in business, the return on investment means you put money up front, but you then benefit from it more. And I truly believe that when your own business, there's no better investment than in your own business. No like trade,
and yourself,
no cryptocurrency, anything will give you more return than investing in yourself first.
And it's dependable.
Yes.
It's dependable no matter what happens.
Yes, because you have 100% control over you.
Absolutely.
Right? And
people do not understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then growing, right? Yes. So that's,
I can remember a little bit of a story, but right after my husband, I talked him into retiring. He was having some health issues, and my coaching business, and I'm kind of a coach consultant, so I do tell people and guide people and advise. But I remember my business was doing extremely well, and so I really talked him into retiring early. So he would have literally no income or anything. And right after that happened, it wasn't very long after that happened, I was working with a coach, but that coach kind of took me down the wrong path, and my business really declined and went backwards. And I found myself almost back at startup stage. And I can remember my husband just freaking out. Like he was just like, oh my gosh. And we have investments and things like that, but we were trying to not use that and not do anything with that. Right. I had convinced him my business was doing well enough, and so we could live on that. And so right after, I remember he always worked. He always was an employee, and he always had a paycheck. And so I remember he was just freaking out that my business had gone down. And I said, wait a minute. I know how to get clients. I know how to sell. I know how to do all of those things, but he just couldn't have that concept. Like that was so foreign to him, but those were skills I knew I had, and they were skills that I knew I could implement anytime, and I would be able to get back to where I was and keep growing. And that's what we're talking about here. So I don't think I've ever told that story on a podcast interviewing someone else, but that's the importance of what we're talking about here. Nothing can stop you.
Yeah, I just have an example from one of my clients just recently. So the group coaching that I have for entrepreneurs, I allow entrepreneurs to get in there with the investment and stay for as long as they need to get to this stage, right? Because the beginnings are the most difficult, and you're building the momentum, your confidence flops. So I want to support them and help them as fast as they can, but also have that thought like, okay, if anything, I can stay as long as I need. So I just had a client who started coaching with me, I think last year. At the end of this year, she had a family emergency and health issues she didn't expect. And she had to pause her business for a couple of months. She offboarded, she's a VA. She offboarded her clients, paused the business. And then she thought coming back that she would have to restart from the beginning. But no, when the moment she restarted, I think it was February, like that, she got filled to the point that she was ready to get filled. And why? Because she already had the skills that I've helped her develop over the years. She had a strategy that worked. So the funnel of the clients that worked, that she just picked it up, right? And of course, she was in the group, so she had support. The moment she decided, okay, I'm back in, let's go and work. But that's the power of investing in yourself and having the skill and getting to a certain level. You never start from the beginning.
Right. That's
Even
true.
if you have a setback, financial setback, you never start at the beginning. You always start at the level where you started. You might get rusty and you want when you stop. And as you grow, you just go on that level, get that foundation strong. I always talk about it a little bit like learning a language, right? If you continue with that language, like I'm fluent in English now, even if I stopped speaking English for a few years, I'll never forget it.
Right.
Or like riding a bike. Even if you don't bike the whole season, in Canada, you might not be able to bike from November to May. You get up on the bike and you're fine because you have the skill and it stays with you.
Yes, absolutely. The best skills, the best money you can ever spend really is on yourself and on your skill set to keep developing and keep growing. So I know we could talk all day. This has been so much fun. I have really enjoyed having you on and really enjoyed talking to you. Now, you have a podcast as well, don't you, Maggie?
I do. Yes.
And what is you want to tell everyone what your podcast is?
Yeah, it's called Diamond Effect. It's available pretty much on any platform. And it comes from the fact that, diamonds shine and attract people to it, that your business can shine the same way. It can attract your clients, your best clients to you, rather than you trying to attach with the attachment energy, trying to gain them. And it's all about how you structure it, the foundation of your business, how you put those business foundation ingredients to kind of create that light.
Fantastic. So everyone check out Maggie's podcast as well. And we'll put information with the show notes with this podcast too. So Maggie, do you have a free offer that you would like to make to people?
Yeah, I do have a free offer that I can offer, I guess. It's an ebook. I call it Three Secrets to Running a Thriving Business
Perfect. And we'll put that information with the show notes as well. So Maggie, let's finish up with just what is the best. You've given a lot of advice here and you've given a lot of great information. What's the best piece of advice or tip, though, that you could give someone about building their business or getting started in their business?
So, I'm just going to repeat what we actually already said. I truly believe investing in yourself. Your business cannot outgrow your mind the way you think. And the way you think is based on your skill set, on the belief of success and having that success mindset. So when you elevate that, when you invest in yourself, your business will follow along. So that's my, lead yourself first and everything will follow along.
I love that. And that's so true. I always say your business can't go to the next level until your mindset does.
Yeah.
So this has been so fun. Thank you so much for being my guest. It's been just such a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And everyone, thank you for being here and another episode of Expert in You. And please make sure that you like and share the episode if you find value in this. And you can follow Maggie. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her, I know, all over the place. So you can follow her as well. And until next week, God bless you all. Have an amazing week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.